Hi, everyone. Rich, the Equalizer Pellegrino from the Global Woke Institute on YouTube at Global Woke Institute. Rich, the Equalizer on social media. You can look us up. Website www.howwokemi.org or globalwokeinstitute.org, where you can find a lot of our videos and writings. Tonight's um, tonight's session is called "When I Ruled the World" and becoming your true self. Okay, "When I Ruled the World" is sung to the tune of um, "La Vida Viva" by Coldplay. Nas's "If I Ruled the World" and "Tears for Fears." Um, Everybody wants to rule the world. So where did that come from? Uh, the I wrote an essay or a short story. I condensed my 200-page memoir book um, entitled "I Am Not White: One Man's Journey from Whiteness to Oneness." Uh, Shameless plug, which is on Amazon if you want it, or if you are local, I'll be happy to give you a signed copy. But I condensed that story basically of my life and what I've learned along the way, 200 pages to a 7-page short story for a site called Narratively that's, runs short stories and is running a memoir contest, for the most unique or interesting, compelling short story memoirs. So anyway, I submitted it there, and I'll be happy to send it to you. By the way, just let me know. You can email me at labor of love campaign, all one word, labor of love campaign at gmail.com, and I'll be happy to send it to you. But basically, I started it when I was an adolescent, or a preteen, where I was that's when you really start to explore your world. Before that, it's basically your parents or your caregivers, whomever is raising you. It's their world that they're impressing upon you, your teachers, maybe clergy, or whomever. But you start to hopefully think for yourself, for better or worse, in your preteen and teenage years. And that's why early childhood is so important, to build a strong foundation of security within yourself, um, of nurturing, of values, if possible, but hopefully avoidance of abuse and neglect. Although many young people go through that, but you start to establish your identity. Anyway, long story short, the values that I inherited, or that I adopted in the 70s from my parents, that were handed down by tradition, um, and were pretty rampant in the society, uh, were competition, winning at all costs, success being material, money, um, and achievement, letters behind your name as well. But those were the main ones: profit motive, things like that. And that's what I picked up were the symbols of success, of ruling your world, or ruling the world, or becoming your true self. So it was easy for me to adopt the wrong methods, okay, in sports, winning at all costs, which meant taking drugs to enhance my performance, profit motive to become successful in business, entrepreneur. I was a drug dealer, but all of that story is in the story and in my book. But it was, and I guess maybe due to my nature, or addictive nature, type A personality, I became an addict as well. Um, so, and this was the 70s, so there was a lot of peer support, peer pressure to cast away all the traditions, question everything. So it was a time of great transformation and turmoil as well. But anyway, long story short, the I hit my bottom. Everybody does eventually, hopefully before death is their bottom. But I hit my bottom, which was facing 60 years in jail for selling drugs to undercover feds and 9 felonies and so forth. And that's when I decided to change that my my values and the way that I just had decided in my adolescence to carry them out was incorrect. Was not. I thought I was ruling my world and the world, and I was really just fooling myself. Okay. And so, but luckily I had enough of a foundation. My parents loved me, even though they taught me many things wrong at the time, as many parents did, handed down, you know, misinformation, uh, kind of twisted values and so forth. So, um, luckily I was able to find myself. Okay. And that's what this is all about. Right now we're in find my authentic self, my true self. I'll talk a little bit about that. But that's where we're at right now in the world. Okay? The world is really going through a period like the 70s, okay, where people are questioning everything. Again, thankfully, young people are. They have a lot of tools, social media, and so forth. And there's a lot of turmoil. They're questioning everything because things are not going right. My generation basically is screwing things up. Um, and so, because many of us never found ourselves, never found our true selves, we're still following, that quote, make America great again. We're still following these old twisted values and methods. Okay. So that really have nothing to do with reality. They're twisted, they're delusional, based on supremacy and false identities. So it's a time of great turmoil right now, and um, and really we can see it playing out. That the people who are in leadership roles, from the president on down in our country, but in many levels in government, business, and so forth, they've never found themselves, their authentic identities. They're living a in a fake identities in a fake world, really, a materialistic world that has those same twisted values of competition, winning at all costs, and lack of empathy, um, and profit motive, materialism as the god. Okay, so that's what we see playing out. They've never found their true self, which is essentially spiritual in nature. Okay, my transformation at a young age, 19, 20, thankfully, was through finding my spiritual self. The fact that we are souls with bodies, not bodies with souls. We are mind, body, and spirit, not just body, not just mind. There's plenty of people with letters behind their name. They haven't found their authentic self. They're all in their minds. Um, and that's not our authentic self. Our authentic selves are mind, body, and spirit. Spirit being really the motivating force and the essential force, the foundation. Okay, so I found mine thankfully through martial arts, Buddhism, meditation, Hinduism, and then through religious and spiritual study that took me through every really spiritual and religious path, indigenous ones, Native American ones, and so forth, and and uh, and practices. Probably I needed it all. Sometimes when you're so stuck in your mind or your emotions, you know, that you need to break out of that. You need something forceful. But anyway, um, but that enabled me to find my inner power and inner strength that took me on so many positive adventures around the world and so many learning experiences and so many times I've been of service to other people. And by the way, when you're serving other people, when you're helping other people, you're getting 99% of the benefit. Okay. When and also I have to say, uh, building a beautiful family, and really it's my 8 grown kids and my grandkids that have brought me back to this essential grounding, spiritual grounding, because that's what they're doing. They're going through finding their own identity, okay, and not just adopting what we're trying to put into them, but finding their own unique identity, but those components, and we're all tied together in the spirit realm with oneness. That's what we'll find. That's an authentic spiritual path, one that unites us rather than divides us. Okay, so that's why many religions are false, really, because, well, they're not being practiced the way they were originally taught by Christ, Buddha, Muhammad, uh, Moses, or whomever, because they are dividing, but they're meant to unite. Okay, so my message to you all today, no matter if you're an activist, no matter if you're young, old, no matter if you're a politician, high, low, an athlete, celebrity, whatever, ground yourself, go within, find yourself spiritually. Could be through religion, but it doesn't have to be. There's great hypnotists, spiritual hypnotists that I'll include on my website and so forth links to. There's shamans. Shaman Durek is one very popular right now. There's all kinds of spiritual paths and teachers, but they all lead to the same thing, to our authentic spiritual self. And sometimes the arts. The arts are a spiritual path, through music, through art, through dance, you know, that helps get you in touch with your spirit, your spiritual side, which is the foundation. Right now, the people who are in leadership roles, from the president on down here and many parts around the world, they're only in touch with the material world, which is really the fake world. We criticize the young kids for playing these video games. Those video games are probably more real than this fake world out here, politics. They're puppets, like on a string, you know, this corporate world and so forth. I mean, there's real aspects of that, but most of it is fake, and many of the people running it are fake. By the way, and that's the same for, and it's same for the people who we look up to, celebrities, professional athletes, influencers. They're no different and no better. In many ways, they're worse off because they've been given a false persona. We've put them on pedestals. They're human, they're flawed just like every one of us. And that's why so many of them fall. It's really a meat market because they're used as a distraction really from the real world. And so the main thing is don't compare yourself to others. Okay, don't compare. You're unique. Okay, there's parts of you that are unique. The spiritual part is one, but finding that spiritual reality, there's many different paths up the mountain. They all lead to the same place. But you have unique mental, emotional capabilities, artistic capabilities, capacities. This is what we need to focus on right now, grounding ourselves, because without that, we have no power. That's the real power. Once we are grounded in our spiritual, authentic self, then we have power to rule the world, literally, or rule our world, the world around us. That because that's really all we can. these people who are trying to rule the world, you know, that's because they haven't found their inner world, okay? And they make a mess out of it, and it hurt a lot of people in that path because they're not admitting, they're in denial. Anyway, I'm not going to go on right now, but this will be the theme of my messages to help you finding your true self, your authentic reality, using that power. That's the real power. It's positive power. It's not power over other people. It's power with other people to unite us as one, with all living things, as the indigenous Native Americans and Native Africans teach us. Okay, so that's all for now. My Sunday meetings every Sunday from 1 to 3, Zoom meetings. You're welcome to join them. Again, email me. We're going to be on this theme for the whole next year, is finding your true self, finding our true selves. Okay, thanks. Ciao.